Yeah, and I mean, this is when the pressure's on. He gets knocked down to the redemption, to the losers bracket, and playing against Corvinus, though, it's never comfortable to play against him. It's never easy to play against him, as there's always some off-the-wall strats like we saw earlier on. But Frisian Marshes is going to be the first map, and we are right on into it.
Indeed, here we go, folks. It's do or die for both of these players. Corvinus versus DeMu. DeMu with the color purple and Corvinus with the color red. This is the elimination bracket first round of the online stage of Red Bull Wololo El Reinado. One of these two players will be knocked out in this round. The other one will survive on the lower bracket. And our game number one will be played on Frisian Marshes, with a civilization that we do not commonly see on this map, Jushi's Legacy here from Corvinus. We sometimes see Chinese, but I don't really recall a lot of Jushi games on this map.
No, not at all. Usually that's where we're seeing this Civ save for those hybrid maps, saving it for Holy Island, saving it for, a lot of those maps with any sort of actual deep sea fishing with extra other stuff out there. But Frisian Marshes, we got some shoreline fish, and we got a lot of sheep. So we're seeing two kind of different civilization choices. As HRE love this map because of the abundance of sheep and the kind of safeness of their base that they can end up getting too. DeMu circling around, like we said, gathering all that sheep up. One of the things you hate to see for him is that front side gold, though. As HRE, I've seen some Mareed Lorne spawns where the gold spawns like in between your wood lines behind you, and it's just like untouchable. But this one is front and forward.
Yeah, this is double front gold as well for DeMu. Arcane Chapel placement can be reasonable, such that it touches the TC, the gold mine, and the wood, but it would force you to place a forward Arcane Chapel, which is always a little dicey. It's kind of the primary target for your opponent when it comes to aggression.
Yeah, I was about to say, on this map, you're always, I think 99% of the time I see it's touching the wood line. You want your wood inspired for as long as possible. It also allows you to have your back safe farm transition as you chop through that wood. And it's just, yeah, unfortunately you don't get your gold inspired from it, but you have bigger priorities through the long course of the game.
Yeah, decent sheep haul here for DeMu as well, although as we kind of highlighted in one of the previous sets, it's a little deceiving because both players have already deposited some of their sheep back at home, but so far DeMu hasn't really done that. He has, I guess, the majority of his sheep trailing that one scout, and he's trying to use the scout to block out the placement for the meditation gardens here, playing a little cheeky, playing a little cheesy. Oh. But Corvinus finds that little pixel that he can build it onto, and then cancels it and replaces it to the spot that he wanted to place it in the first place.
You know what he could have done? DeMu could have just dropped a sheep off and just left it there with the carcass and tried to kill it and just get it into a place where it made it super awkward. But Corvinus ultimately got the spot he wanted for the meditation gardens and is coming back with the 2 scout opening, which, even though there's an abundance of sheep on this map, I've seen 2 scouts plenty of times. With the new way sheep are, I feel like it's just one that 2 scouts almost never... I don't want to say never worth it. It's just, it's hard to make it justifiable. Yes, it's a ton of sheep. It feels great, but sheep aren't as great anymore. And okay, did DeMu not drop off any of his sheep?
Yeah, that's, I think he's got a couple behind the TC. They're just hiding. Yeah, they are just hiding in the shadows. Yep, there we go.
Yeah. But see, even still, like the sheep number, I think we saw 16 for Corvinus, and it's 17 for DeMu. Could be wrong. 19. Okay, 24. So there is a huge difference, but even still, now we see Corvinus down that extra vil. He's going to be down that percentage gathering rate, and yeah, he's got the meditation gardens, but it's not the old days of the meditation gardens. This is the nerfed 3 different times now over.
You're not allowed to meditate as much.
And DeMu doesn't want him to meditate at all, as barracks is already being dropped, and he doesn't even care about the vision of it. Corvinus has a scout there that's burning a house, and he's like, yeah, great, do it. Burn the house. I can always emergency repair it. You know exactly what I'm doing. Good luck stopping it.
Range and Rex coming in here. Barracks predictable with the HRE range, little less conventional. It's one of those things where you look at the archer play of the HRE and you say, hey, they don't have any like archer-specific bonuses. But then you realize that you just have a juggernaut economy, so you could just play the numbers game.
Yeah, and you know, you can't forget marching drills is a thing now. So while it's not an archer specific bonus, it is it's still having extra move speed on your infantry is literally I would say move speed's the #1 stat in the game that you would like to be able to have more of, especially at a higher elo. So that's where that's kind of right when marching drills got buffed up, where you automatically have it, is right when we saw a huge meta shift of the way HRE played. They used to never really want to build any infantry, any units in the feudal age or the least as possible. Now they're like, hey, I'm gonna build this ball. I'm all in.
Some harassment coming in here from DeMu. He's going spears and archers. On the other side, though, Corvinus wants the fast castle, and this is where you really see the value coming out of these meditation gardens. They can just chill here on these resources, give you a passive resource income, and there's very little that your opponent can do about it. You can start torching it, but it takes forever to take it out with 4 spearmen. And every second you spend torching it, you're not spending that on harassing Corvinus. So DeMu is actually shifting away, as he should. But he's going to be a little late to deny the Shaolin Monastery. Nice and clean, fast castle. I expect... Wait a minute. This could be a very heavy monk play here.
It could be a heavy monk play, but Rams are already coming out for DeMu. He wants that full denial, wants to take down the gold, take down the meditation gardens, not allow this play to come to fruition. And the monks now have been nerfed from when they first came out. They take a good bit of damage from feudal age units that are ranged now, whereas they used to not take any at all.
Corvinus actually went for a little stone here. I'm not sure if he wanted the second DC or just emplacement. But now, DeMu's going to do a little clown carring over here. Corvinus, this is the diciest spot for him. He's up to castle age, but he needs to somehow survive this window to start getting some actual quality units out there. He's
2 villagers
he's
down, 3 villagers down, 4 villagers down, 5 villagers down. Gone. 6 vills down?
I think he wants 2 TCs though, so he's willing to sacrifice the vills because he's cleaning up everything else.
This outpost better get rebuilt. Okay, he rebuilds it, jumps in and out again. There's no melee units here. DeMu has to fall back, but oh my, damage is done. Even if he goes 2 TCs, it's not worth it. He's down 9 eco, and that's worse eco too.
Yeah, you're right. I think the problem is that DeMu is going to catch up to Castle Age. It looked better initially, because if he gets the second TC up and running, he's up to Castle Age, he can start collecting relics with the monks, and he cleaned up most of DeMu's army. Problem is that DeMu stopped with the aggression, and DeMu is going up to Castle Age. And if they're both in Castle, but Corvinus doesn't have like a relic lead or a second TC whatsoever, he's going to be in a very precarious spot.
Yeah, and DeMu is actually going to be able to go up to castle while still being able to produce. He's still queuing up spearmen. He's still queued up a few archers here during all of this time. Decided not to clown car this time. Wants to see if Corvinus has the same sort of pull, but does see the monk now, and I think he just waits. I think you just go up to castle and you wait here now.
Yeah, that's exactly what he should do. I think he needs to double down on aggression. He's going Ragnitz, so he's not going to go like all-in-esque. But here, especially with all the shortfish available on the map, it wouldn't have been a crazy idea to go Burgrave and try to finish this game very quickly.
Yeah, and we see Corvinus trying to go with some Palace Guard swaps. However, DeMu is going to drop double barracks, which would mean he has 3 now, and it can easily just outmass with his own men-at-arms, which are going to be way better if that's his desire. This is what we talked about, those monks. They take a good bit of range damage now, but the fight's being taken, and that ram just gets obliterated.
Yeah, relics haven't been collected, though. These Shaolin monks are busy actually fighting around here. They can heal each other, which actually makes this a little bit more problematic for DeMu to deal with. But yeah, here come the relics. DeMu went Dragonets, so if Corvinus can start yoinking the relics with the Shaolin monks, he could make this pretty painful.
Is that a
And to be
feudal
fair-
palace guard?
No, it's
No,
it's
it's
standard
castle.
Castle Age Palace guard.
It's just,
But-
I guess they're just not as tanky as I remember, but even still, they are palace guards. The monk taking out some spears. There's one archer there that's doing the good bit of damage, but this is where DeMu gets to fully turn online. He's making the men-at-arms crossbow swap, and he's just going to go all in with this. There's no way Corvinus can hold with the eco that he has. He's down 10 eco this early on.
It's more about the relics, you feel. These Shaolin monks were meant to deny the relics from DeMu, and they weren't able to do that. This one getting intercepted in the middle means that DeMu should have at least 2 relics, which is something that he's gonna be more than happy with. At the same time, Corvinus is now getting into Song Dynasty with the Jungnan Tower. Sacred Side being capped in the middle as well, but Corvinus is playing 1 TC only. He's on 2 relics. Maybe he can get a 3rd, but that's the best case scenario for him right now.
And even if he gets the 3rd, I hate this position for him. The tower that he's building will allow him to kind of mass up his military a little bit faster. But DeMu, he's just going to be a whole different powerhouse when it comes to HRE. They're getting online already. He's on the shoreline fishing. I'd love to see a prelate go out there and start some inspiration, but he wants to make sure to grab relics first. And then lastly is farms around the chapel is already happening, I believe. And that is going to be the strongest thing as his food income, he's at over 1,000 per minute, whereas Corvinus is sitting at 600.
Yeah, that's part of the reason, why that happens is because DeMu does have the shorefish, which is not even buffed by the prelates right now. This could get even juicier. Palace Guard and Shaolin Monk making their way onto the fishing eco, but they will be cleaned up fairly quickly. And once you start buffing these villagers with prelates, the food eco for DeMu is going to skyrocket. It's already insanely good, but it is just going to get even better.
Yeah, and it's that men-at-arms mass, but Corvinus is building his own crossbows to deal with it. He's going to go with some knights, and knights on this map is one of the things that's so annoying. You want to go out to the shoreline fish like we just saw, but it forces you to wall. It forces you to cause some sort of investment into this. If not, you're just slowly going to get poked and prodded to death.
It's a good reaction by Corvinus. He is facing an enemy with a very slow-moving army. So he just wants to raid and shut down those food villagers and buy some time to build up his own eco. Shaolin monks are also used very well over here. They can heal themselves or heal each other up. They only cost food for you, and they are great to just snipe out monks, as we've seen. But at the same time, it still is insufficient to offset the eco deficit that Corvinus has. And it's not even a veil count. It's the fact that you have shorefish on one side and not on the other.
Yeah, and I think this is where DeMu gets to just send that men-at-arms mass. He's got 14 men-at-arms, and Corvinus has 4 crossbows. So he just says, hey, men-at-arms, go into that shoreline fish. And now there's no way for Corvinus to really actually mass up a military and build it up. But instead, DeMu gets distracted by the meditation gardens.
Yeah, this is big because Corvinus needs that shorefish. Look at his food eco. Now he's up to 1,000 per minute. It was like 400 or 500 per minute a couple of minutes ago. That's the kind of buff that you're getting from shorefish that's supervised by an imperial officer.
Yeah, and that timing, it would have been devastating as Corvinus just moved out with all those villagers onto that shoreline fish. But the meditation guards with 4 spears, it didn't get taken out too fast. But with 20 men-at-arms, now we're talking about a little bit of a different story here. It still takes a good bit as it's a landmark, but once it's down, at least it'll be down.
Ironically, I think Corvinus, this is probably the target that Corvinus is the happiest about. Sure, it looks bad to lose your meditation gardens, but it's still better than 40 men-at-arms roaming your base.
Yeah, but now it's tick-tock, tick-tock. We got meditation gardens falling, and 22 men-at-arms should head towards the base of Corvinus. However, those knights I was talking about, they should hit that shoreline fish. This already takes down 1 villager. There's a crossbow or 2 here, but crossbows, you need a decent little mass to actually clean up lands. Oh no. Oh no, DeMu.
This is exactly what Corvinus needed. harassment on the shorefish, but at the same time, he's now being pushed as well. He needs his crossbows to clean this up. Looks like the Lancers will be cleaned up, and remember, Corvinus doesn't have a very powerful eco. Lancers are extremely expensive units to lose for him.
Yeah, that was a decent little bit of a pick for him, but he's still down 6 villagers, and more importantly, he is still down a ton of military.
I love the targeting of the village here by DeMu. Corvinus should not be housed just by losing a single village, but when you're facing off against Chinese or Jushi, villages, if you can take them out quickly, you can make the housing situation very bad. And actually, Corvinus does get housed.
Yeah, I mean, it's 40 population space, so a lot of times with Chinese civilizations, they're only building like 1 or 2, and then they just don't worry about houses for quite some time, and that's where he immediately rushes down a house or 2, though, doesn't have that idle time for too long.
He's gonna try to Wololo! Oh, I knew it!
No way.
He is the Wololo god, that's
know.
his nickname, and he's gonna try it again. He's gonna try it again with another relic. Oh, he's losing the monks, though.
The crossbows, they're focusing the other crossbows, though, and in reality, I feel like they need to be focusing the monks. This is a huge fight for
Corvinus. This is so beautiful. He cleans up this entire army. We talked about this. He could have some tricks. He could have some tricks up his sleeve. Shaolin monks, they weren't on my bingo card today, but he's making them work.
Is he about to start trading? I thought he already had a market built. Did he get his other market burnt out? Or am I crazy? Oh,
yeah,
it got burnt. Okay, that makes sense then. And he's dropping a secondary TC now. So I've seen him do that. I actually saw him do this yesterday, where all of a sudden it looked like he was playing Zushi. It looked like he was down. It looked like he was losing, and then he cockroached it back. He dropped 2 extra TCs, and then he was back in it.
And now it's full man-at-arms here for DeMu. Crossbows will do really well, and here's the thing. Crossbows love firing from the back line. They don't like being engaged in this close combat affair with the men-at-arms. And even just a couple of Shaolin monks, they do really well to provide that front line for you. These are cost-effective engagements for Corvinus, and that's what he needs. Now, let's not forget, DeMu still has both sacred sites ticking for him. He actually didn't pick up the final relic on his side of the map, so he's missing out on that. But Corvinus with the second TC, I think he's more alive than ever.
He hasn't scouted it, is the problem. He's not even worrying about it. But DeMu still has the military lead by quite some time. I feel like Corvinus had a ton of crossbows, and then all of a sudden he just like stopped making them. Maybe has just been lacking on the food production, can't quite keep up with the same numbers as DeMu, and that's what the story's going to be consistently this whole game. We are at 300 food per minute versus 1,300 food per minute.
Yeah, that's the problem, right? Corvinus, again, we've seen this a couple of times. He's surviving but not thriving, and now he needs to start thinking about how he's going to decap one of these sacred sites. He actually has a sneaky unit. Oh my, no. I was about to say that he might need to go a little bit more aggressive than he wants to be just to decap the sacred sites. But if he gets this freebie, it's so good for him. Again, it just takes off that pressure from his shoulders and allows him to really leverage that 2TC build, start building up the farming eco. That is such a significant freebie given away by DeMu.
Yeah, and DeMu, after he heard that, it looked like he was like sending his whole army over that way, but it's only a scout. And so like he just sent 40 units to a sacred site / to trade to see if there's trade for nothing. But behind this, DeMu is sneakily making a massive horseman swap. And look at the army composition of Corvinus. We have nested bees countered by horsemen. We have crossbows countered by horsemen, and we have crossbows countered by horsemen. So not going to be a good look when those horsemen come knocking on the doorstep.
Yeah, DeMu desperately needs a scout, by the way. He missed out on the relic, or he was very delayed. He's just now bringing it back home because he didn't have that scout. He actually went to check for trade. There was nothing there, and this delays his push. But yeah, you're right. Horsemen are coming out. That's the natural switch for him. He's not actually fully committing to this. He has a lot of resources in the bank. I think he wanted to go Imperial and then double down on the Horsemen. Corvinus senses danger, but he's very late making the Spearman switch. He's just now getting veterancy for the Spears.
Yeah, I feel like this is one of those things that we'll see a lot of like lower elo people struggle with the swap. They're like, why would I ever make horsemen? It's a lower tier unit. It's like no. It's not about what unit you're making. It's about what unit your opponent's making, and just make the more cost efficient the counter unit to it. And that's horsemen right here. And they are just there's literally I feel like DeMu could only have his 15 horsemen. It still would be enough right here.
Yeah, the big thing here is that HRE horsemen are nothing special, but HRE eco is a juggernaut, so you can really flood your opponent with horsemen, and Corvinus wasn't prepared for that. The only reason why he knows about the horsemen is because his scout was killed. Nest of Bees getting a beautiful volley, though. That's a great opener, but he's outnumbered 2-1. DeMu is going into Imperial, and Corvinus doesn't have a single spearman to deal with the horsemen.
Yeah, and the horsemen just break off. They're like, all right, he doesn't want to take this fight. I will just make the army react and come a different way. And there we go. Woodline villagers have to run on back. A few more go down. Berry villagers start falling. Granary farm villagers start falling. Corvinus is scrambling. They're trying to run everywhere. They got nowhere to run. Villagers are falling. Military units are not falling, so that's his one hope. But he still doesn't have the numbers. Going for Wololo.
Are you going to Wololo 2 horsemen? Feels like too little, too late, and desperate. He lost so much eco here. Villagers were gone, and DeMu is up to Imperial. He's going to have the elite upgrades very shortly. He is going to have the pass of Schwabia. In fact, he already has it to just quickly bump up his villager count. He's going to escalate this game so quicker, and I feel like, again, the theme is the same. Even if Corvinus stays alive, he is on the back foot, and he's never given a window by DeMu to recover.
Yeah, I will say though, DeMu did get the second relic behind this finally, so that's a plus. Feels a little bit better. He's getting tide barns too, because why not? And the biggest thing here now is DeMu just gets, he's Exodia now at this point. It's fully online. Your HRE with a boomed up farming eco. You have Swabia that you're not immediately having this timing push come into your face when you're building Swabia. It's like, oh no, I'm pushing my opponent's space when I finish my Swabia. A position that HRE is not typically in.
And when you age up, oftentimes the highlight is that you're spending a lot of resources on something other than armies, so that often leaves you exposed. But in this case, as you kind of highlighted, that's not the case, first and foremost. Second, the bonus that you're getting from that landmark goes well beyond unlocking the elite upgrades. The fact that you can quickly escalate your eco with that landmark makes this an extremely cost-effective and justifiable landmark to go for.
Yeah, even if, like, let's just say it was another Civ that wasn't a Swabia landmark, Corvinus would still be at a point where he's like, all right, just keep stalling this game. You can hold with Castle Age units pretty effectively, being siege and crossbows. It's hard to dive into that. And he'd be like, I'm on 2 TC. I'll just, build up my eco slowly. But it's like, no. Your opponent just dropped 4 TCs essentially with that landmark.
Exactly, walls are breached once again. Let's not forget, DeMu also has the Sacred Site countdown once again. It is at 7:30, could be a lot lower had he not lost it for a brief moment before. But I don't think Corvinus is going to be able to decap it again. He's full crossbows. He's once again just refusing to go for a unit that can deal with the horsemen.
And meanwhile, DeMu is making the switch to hand cannoneers. So it's going to just have, I would say, one of the strongest units in the game, if not the strongest unit in the game. So hard to deal with those. And what I would really love to see from DeMu is just something to deal with the siege. Whether it's siege of his own, he can just drop a couple mangonels. Whether it's a sprinkled and then mangonels. But that's really what I feel like would just close the gap, especially against 35 crossbows. I mean, we see the numbers. He can take the fight whenever and probably end it. But that's just the safer way to actually end it.
Corvinus is now making a maze out of these walls. But I have bad news for you. 18 men in arms and 21 horsemen, they go through walls, not walk past them.
And we've seen some wall shenanigans today already with some walking through some walls too. With some random gaps in the walls, as I think there was just one next to that stone vein, as that's one of the side notes from the, actually it's just next to the archery range. There's just a random little wall segment. But it's just, maybe that's just going to be a trap. It's all just there to create a choke point for the double nest of bees.
Now, Corvinus is dropping a keep at home, and he's piling up resources for Imperial. logic would dictate that he's got no chance in this game. Just looking at the army count, the age advantage that DeMu has, the villager count. But as you touched on that before, we've seen Corvinus recover miraculously. And if he's given a window to get to Imperial, things could get interesting.
DeMu, it's just he's struggling to pull the trigger. It looks like he's finally wanting to do so. Nest of Bees are still on the backside. There is still a Shaolin monk with a relic. Hello? Men-at-Arms? Men-at-Arms?
Nice conversion.
Able to snag over a couple Men-at-Arms.
He's got
and
more.
He grabs more relics. This means you can't dive the siege with horsemen. You have to have a Springled of some sort. Another Wololo coming in.
That's the last one he has, though, and there are still horsemen.
And there is still a huge military lead for DeMu. Still horsemen, still crossbows. The Nest of Bees are firing out and just got a huge shot on the back line, but the Nest of Bees can say goodnight now. They are just shattered wood pieces onto the ground. The monks are falling. The relics are no longer providing gold. And Corvinus is all but done in this game. Number one, he tried to hold, he tried to do everything he could, but it just felt all but over after that that initial attempt on keeping the tower alive.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that's where things started getting dicey for him, but I really wonder how this game would have gone, as he's apparently aging up with Jushi's library, or at least he's trying to. I really wonder how this fight would have gone if he had like 10 spearmen. Because the only thing that he didn't have a good answer to were the horsemen. Those were the ones that overran his Nest of Bees and the crossbows. If he just has a handful of spearmen, maybe he could have been able to hold. He really wants to get to Imperial, though.
Yeah, I mean, he might get to Imperial, but I don't know what he's gonna do with that Imperial except surrender. He has one military unit. He's got 31 idols, and I would not want to be a Corvinus villager.
If DeMu pulls off all his army right now, even then, Corvinus has no chance. Because we have a Sacred Set countdown at 3:30. So DeMu doesn't even need to finish the game right here, although, I mean, at this pace, he's doing just that. He's got 30+ horsemen. Are these elites even? I'm actually wondering if... yeah, okay, these are elites. They looked very silvery, so for a moment I thought they were only veterans, but okay, he's gotten the upgrades, good.
I know he has elite army tactics, and oh my gosh, now...
Yoink.
Okay, I was about to say, that's when you definitely go ahead and call it. You're like, okay, stealing relics, it's over. Game number one, though, taken by DeMu. Gets his first lead here. Frisian Marshes is always a fun map to watch. And game number two, we have a classic. We've seen it a couple times today already, but not with these civilizations.
Holy Island it is. And Rus, it's one of the most beloved civilizations for a variety of reasons. As long as you have combat ships to protect your fishing boats, you're perfectly fine. Because even if you lose the docks, nothing happens. You're not prone against a ram aggression or against a ram push against your docks. At the same time, you have that flexibility as well to convert your fishing boats to combat ships and vice versa. And that could be very interesting to take a look at, whereas Iobids is not something that you commonly see on Holy Island either. Makes me feel like we could just be leveraging the dock discount at the beginning, and then maybe Desert Raiders at the beginning to harass as well. That could be an interesting way to open this for DeMu.
Yeah, I mean, it is one where they have a lot of flexibility. One of the things I always like about Iobids is that they, you know, when you're aging up, you're still gathering all the resources, whereas other civs, you know, you're using your vills to age up, but the big drawback is how much time it can take. So while you can get that really quick advancement wing in feudal age sometimes that people go, it makes it very difficult if your opponent has a quicker castle age and you can kind of get stuck lagging behind it on both ends, whether it's you win water or lose water. Sometimes you can still get punished very, very hard.
Well, we just have 20 seconds left to go here. So let's take a quick moment to appreciate the draft over here. Corvinus still has Malians, Mongols, Japanese, and English available. On the other side, it's going to be Rus, Byzantines, Delhi, and the Chinese. Dry Arabia regions and Rocky River are the remaining maps But before we see any of those, we'll have to take a look at Holy Island as we head into game number 2.
And here we are, DeMu playing as the Ayubids in the color purple. Corvinus playing as the Rus in the color red. And they're both moving out to go ahead and drop those early docks.
This is one of the few Holy Island generations we see where the landmass is like northwest to north instead of the like 90% or perpendicular arrangement. It's nothing special, but it's actually pretty good to look at it. Usually, I think most of the time we get the other arrangement, right?
Yeah, I don't know about the percentage of which one you get, but I always like seeing the differences. It's one that it actually does matter quite significantly for certain civilizations. I'll say it with both of these. Not really, neither of these care too much about those spawns as much. We're seeing the drop off come on in. Population capacity reached, but no idle time there. And it's all about the fishing boat production early. I'm wondering how many fishing boats we're going to see if we're like early on, or if we're going to see some cutting of fishing production to try to go up a little bit quicker from either side.
So Wisdom coming up here for DeMu. Decent haul of sheep as well to work with. One thing to highlight here about this map is, once again, like we've seen in one of the previous series, this is a map generation where you do not have a forest spawning up front. So the wood line that you use is essentially predetermined, whereas when the map spawns with a forward wood line, you technically have a choice between the two.
Yeah, one thing Vodka with his observing just showed me was that DeMu's going up with the advancement wing and feudal. He did a long drop off with 3 vills. That's all you need to be able to age up. So he's not building a mining camp. He went ahead and got that gold early on. So he's going to have a very quick age up timing here. And that's why he is choosing Ayubids on the hybrid maps. That's what I see a lot of people do. And he's already clicked it. Look at that.
Yep, indeed, there it goes. I love the advancement. It's one of the things that makes Ayubids a really good civilization on hybrid maps. Oftentimes, it's a race to feudal age, and especially when you're up against the Rus, it's even more so the case. The Rus will take one of their fishing boats, park it right next to their docks just before they hit feudal age, and converting it to a combat ship immediately allows them to pressure your food eco very early on. So every second that you can accelerate your progress towards feudal age is immensely valuable against the Rus.
Yeah, and that's where Rus used to be the king of the civilization that was, I'm going to be the first of feudal. I'm going to be the first one being the aggressor over on your side. But now we have a few other civs that can kind of equalize that footing like you're talking about here. DeMu, I feel like, has gotten a good amount of the sheep. Not that it matters too much. I still feel like he has. Maybe that's just randomly what I've seen, but I feel like he is like at like triple the amount of sheep of what Corvinus has. $21. That is definitely a lot, I think. Yeah, 50. Whatever. Okay, there's a lot more.
This is a fishing map. Come on.
This is a fishing map for sure. Kremlin onto the backside. Boar pulled though. The dock. No. Villager. Oh no.
Oh, that is a disaster for DeMu. Lovely reaction here by Corvinus pulling that boar.
I mean, that's just one of the super frustrating things. If he had taken one step forward with that dock, he probably would have had it finished, probably would have been out of boar range, but it was just a little bit too close, and he, unfortunately, gets taken down for it. Now, the military ships and everything that he had, that tempo that he had, is kind of just taken away. He doesn't have the second dock down. This gives Corvinus a lot more time because he hits feudal, and he has a second dock up now, or about to have a second dock, so he's on equal footing now.
Yeah, you could see how significant that dock was for DeMu's game plan. That was his essential feudal age opening, and now that it was disrupted, he basically needs to go back to the drawing board because his opening was just denied.
Yeah, exactly here. So Corvinus doing a great job just circling around with that scout, getting that vision, not doing the typical annoyance you see trying to hit the villager over there with, you know, the little bit of damage that the scout does. Instead, just pulls back, maybe wants to deny the scout from his side and make sure there's no other sneaky docks being dropped in the middle.
A bit of a scuffle over here. These Logia fishing boats are a lot more expensive than normal fishing boats are, so you have to be cautious not to lose them. And that is a lovely snipe by DeMu.
It is a lovely snipe by DeMu, but he loses his galley for it, which is quite a bit of resources as well.
Yeah, it's not ideal, but at the same time, let's not forget, again, those fishing boats, the Logia fishing boats, are so much more expensive than usual ones are. Nevertheless, when you look at combat ships, it's only Corvinus with any meaningful navy right now. He also has the Kremlin. And one of the things that we've seen back in the past from players playing Rus on this map is just non-stop levying the militia whenever they become available and just sending them over to the enemy base. Even if you just harass them for 5 seconds on the gold mine, that is enough to slowly decimate the enemy navy as well.
Yeah, it's all those little kind of slight bits of idle time, slight bits of annoyances. Springled ship for Corvinus, though, has arrived at DeMu's doorstep, has hit an archer ship, and he also has his own archer ship taken down some of the fishing boats, trying to do as much damage as they possibly can. But the Springled ship and demos are queued up. They're about to pop out. I mean, DeMu's congregating in the corner, though. Fishing boat's getting low. One of the fishing boats gets sniped on out, but the demo pops out. It barely misses.
It narrowly missed, but this is so crucial. Fishing boats do stay alive here for DeMu, though. Looks like he's able to keep the Dow alive as well, but his fishing eco has been disrupted, and there has to be a second wave here for Corvinus, but I just don't see it anywhere.
No second wave at all.
Oh, he's trying to convert this to a demo. I think that was the plan. Tried to convert this ship. Maybe he wanted to, like, essentially sail up in the face of that bug lock, convert this into a demo, and then sink it. But then he just got taken out, so we will never know.
Yeah, so once again, we're back on basically looking like both players are just now starting on the water. DeMu has 2 Springled ships, has his galley. Corvinus, he's got no military out at all other than his scout, but he does have some in queue.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised that Corvinus doesn't have a bigger navy than this. Makes me wonder if he wants to go castle here, because he's been piling up a lot of resources behind this.
I mean, sometimes I feel like that's a play that happens if you're able to, like, kind of make sure your opponent's on his back foot, you know, not having any tempo. But instead, DeMu, he's headed right back for Corvinus' side yet again. That's the main fishing, that's the main food income, and that's how you're going to get to castle.
You're going to have to fight this if you're Corvinus, but you have the flexibility of converting your ships here. Some more ships are coming out of these docks as well. Resource Bank is looking a lot better here for Corvinus, but I'm still unsure what the game plan is. It feels like he doesn't really want to, like, straight up win water. And he's banking up food and gold. Only thing I can think of, really, is going into Costal Age, maybe starting to yoink the relics.
Yeah, I mean, that could be a possibility. DeMu did just kind of turn around and tuck tail and head on home for a bit. Corvinus has some demos in queue, has a decent bit of ships for defense, and has that bank up. So it does feel like he's in a much better positioning point right now. And DeMu is turning around, so if he does want to go castle, he has the time to do it, I feel like, now.
Yeah, and this is tricky for DeMu, because let's not forget, DeMu needs to respect the fact that Corvinus can convert his fleet in an instant. So if you're Corvinus, I would say that you position your scout close to the shoreline to see when DeMu comes in, and that in itself gives you that ability to react with your fishing boats. And if you see him going back, you could still cancel the transition. But the same mentality goes for DeMu. The moment he gets spotted approaching, Corvinus could convert his fishing boats and just hold him off. So that's why it's tricky for DeMu to try and punish such an early Costal Age. And it looks like Corvinus decided not to pull his militia one by one. Instead, he's pulling every single one of them, and he's out with 8.
Yeah, he just wants to go get as much idle time, much annoyance as possible. And this is great right as DeMu pushed forward with his military. So he has to look away, has to pull back to home, has to react to that. And that's when Corvinus steps up with his own set of sprinkled ships. Doesn't look like any significant fighting going down yet. The gremlins are across, and right as the first couple fall, the next ones arrive, and DeMu was already ready and waiting, but this time they're gonna head for the wood line.
A bit of a harassment being done there. DeMu is committing against this. You shouldn't really be losing a lot of villagers here, but this is exactly what the militia are for. Just idle the enemy villagers for a couple of seconds. Every second of idle time is going to cause a disruption in the production of the Navy.
Yeah, if we're talking about 20 villagers being idled for 10, 15 seconds, it is absolutely massive as far as what those militia can actually provide. 8 sprinkled ships for Corvinus, 7 for DeMu. Where Corvinus is really lacking is the galleys, but that is where we see the queue now. He is making sure to respect that. And after the galleys, I feel like he's going to turn into Vortex / Lucifron and just turn into heavy demo queue.
Yeah, Corvinus is caught in between a little here because he's piling up resources for Castle, but he's not there just yet. But at the same time, DeMu is doubling down on the aggression, so Corvinus needs to be very careful here. It's 7 Buglaws versus 8 sprinkled ships, though. And interestingly, DeMu has a lot of food as well, but he doesn't have the gold to Castle up.
Yeah, he was idled off that gold for a good bit of time. He just queued up a couple demos as well. But this is where the key, I think, that if Corvinus does just idle out his fishing boat or his military ship production, then he could go up. But instead, he's doubling down onto that land aggression. He's dropped the stables. He has knights in queue.
I don't know how I feel about that. Knights are good, but I mean, he could have tried castling and go for the relics and then go knights. Still, fight breaks loose here. Dows are up front here for DeMu, and there is a flanking demo down south from Corvinus. At the same time, demos are coming in for DeMu as well.
Demos sniped out immediately by Corvinus's galleys. The one demo from Corvinus is just now making its way across, but it looks like DeMu's kind of already lost the fight somewhat. He's starting to draw back, but DeMu is ready for it. Snipes down the demolition ship before it comes. Looks like another set of militia onto the gold veins. Corvinus taking a great set of fights on 2 different spots, and now having to fall back again, though. He's got no galley, yeah. 3 demos here for DeMu. 4 demos, actually. And Corvinus, it doesn't seem like he has anything here anymore.
Yeah, this is why I dislike the Knights. It just takes... It's a big investment, and if it doesn't work out, you could be in trouble here. He's pushing the gold, but at the same time, he's being pushed on the water. Demos finally getting some good connections for DeMu.
A huge connection there in the middle, gets a good bit of damage on a few different ships, but now this is where DeMu pushes too far forward. DeMu pops out of the dock and gets a huge connection for Corvinus. Both sides are just starting to trade, but DeMu also has to deal with knights in his base.
If you can get to 2 or 3 knights harassing the enemy, it's nightmare for DeMu. DeMu so far has been investing his entire resource income into ships. Even just dropping a barracks is going to disrupt him so much. The only silver lining is that he managed to decimate Corvinus's fleet, which includes the fishing as well. But look at this investment that needs to be made. Double stables. Villagers are also being picked off here slow and steady. A lot of the villas are banked up, and DeMu is unable to access gold right now.
Yeah, this has been a huge win. It felt bad at first. It's probably why Corvinus lost a bit of that engagement onto the water, but he has caused more than enough idle time. He's gotten a couple villager kills. Stables still trying to be built. Stables still trying to be finished up. I guess DeMu's going to try to get some camels out and about.
Yeah, that's the natural reaction over here. Corvinus's eco is a train wreck itself, though. He doesn't have good gold income either. He is floating 1,400 wood. He's not making a switch into racks. I'm starting to feel like Corvinus no longer wants to fight on water. I think he just wants to go all in on land.
He gets another villager pick. Bad pathing by another set of villagers might get him another one, and it does. So 2 villager picks there with that set of militia. So he is starting to create a little bit of a gap when it comes to the eco, but that will all go away very quickly if he loses water.
Yeah, but this is where it gets tricky to push the roost, right? Corvinus is building a fishing eco. With any other civilizations, if you don't have combat ships to protect it, it can be destroyed in a second. But not for Corvinus. If he sees DeMu commit, he's going to convert his fishing boats and he's going to have a navy to work with. Concern for him, I feel, is that his fishing eco got decimated a couple of moments ago, whereas DeMu was untouched for a long time. And this is starting to show on the resource department. DeMu is going to be the first player clicking up the Castle Age.
Yeah, Corvinus, he actually has a good bit of military ships. He's got 11 sprinkled ships compared to 7 is what it looks like. But this is one of those, the lack of vision, the lack of knowledge. He doesn't know if he needs to keep producing. He's got 5 galleys in queue. He could cancel 5 galleys and probably be at the same food income or food amount that DeMu had. Probably could be able to go up there, but is still queuing stuff up. Meanwhile, DeMu has clicked the age up.
And this is where it gets dicey for Corvinus. His go-to unit was the Knight, and that now gets countered by the Camels. To a certain extent, the Desert Raiders with the bows are also good against these spears here. But this is one of those unique Holy Island games where both players are able to retain their fishing eco. So this could easily be a game that goes all the way to the distance.
Yeah, the big problem for Corvinus, though, is if he does not match this Castle Age pretty soon, it gets this timing that is hard to. Armored Hull comes in, and that immediately creates an equalizer for the lack of ships that you may have. Spears, though, starting to dive the gold again, starting to dive the wood line. This is right as DeMu is aging up, so hopefully Corvinus gets some knowledge, get some information here.
Ooh, bit of a misplay here.
Couple more spears come out. One villager does fall. Other gold has been secured by DeMu, and Corvinus doesn't know about it, but he is moving up now, and DeMu is going up. This is the perfect time for Corvinus to do so. He should have a little bit of a lead here. Galleys are sticking back, though. They're not wanting to push forward, so that's extra damage he doesn't have. Demo's over to the side, ready and waiting, and spears are diving the base, so trying to make this a fight on 2 fronts, trying to get some distraction over on Demu's side. Now Demos are trying to get there. Looks like a little bit of some pathing issues.
Oh, but that's it. That's way too many demos to deal with.
Demo's closing the gap now, and huge connections there from Corvinus as he just cleans up just about the whole entire fleet of DeMu. New age
nice
begins.
Counter demo.
Oh, a huge connection there. Can Corvinus clear up enough of the water to make this difference?
That counter demo from DeMu might have salvaged the game for him, because I feel like losing out on your navy in such a one-sided fashion would have been disastrous for him. But Corvinus is doing this again. He's converting ships, and I think part of the reason why these demos were a little late to the party is because he was converting ships, and that helps him reinforce this. Now the fishing eco of DeMu is being shut down, though. His navy very much a tiny one at this point. But he does have a couple of demos hiding to the south. He's looking to pop them soon.
Yeah, Camel Lancer's starting to be produced. Gulam looks like it is out on the field roaming. Demo gets taken out before it makes any connection. Another one pops out, though. Gets a decent little shot, but now as all the demos pop out, they should be easily cleaned up as more and more of these ships continue to fall.
And that is exactly what Corvinus needed. New demos are coming in as well. They could just jump the docks at this point, just get rid of all that pesky production. Just eliminate DeMu's chance of getting some more demo ships out here. DeMu's fleet is now gone. He is in Castle Age, but he doesn't have a spectacular land-based army. And it looks like Corvinus is just going all in Feudal Age here.
Yeah, the big thing that I'd be worried about if I am DeMu is just, or if I'm Corvinus, is just making sure my eco at home can actually stabilize. Can I hold off Camel Lancers? Can I hold off any Gulam circling around? Because usually you need numbers if you are in the age behind.
Exactly. That is the big thing. But now fishing boats are being picked off. Camel Lancers coming in, though, and this is exactly the best that Corvinus needs to deal with, and that's the problem. Camel Lancers can be very, very oppressive and hard to deal with. He's trying to fight them off with Knights right now, but Spearmen join the fun as well. Corvinus with a decent eco lead though, but still stuck in Feudal Age, floating so much wood.
Yeah, and this is where we see the split screen. Those Camel Lancers are working wonders on the land, taking down knights, very expensive units, taking down villagers, causing idle time. So while Corvinus took a huge successful fight on the water, I don't think it's going to be enough here.
Yeah, and we talked about Corvinus being able to disrupt ship production for quite some time with the militias, with the knights, but that kind of shifted back the other way around. The land presence of DeMu is now making it difficult for Corvinus to afford ships, and that's why Corvinus wasn't able to, like, decisively secure the water.
Yeah, and DeMu has 0 food income right now, but it's one that doesn't matter. He just hit Golden Age Tier 3. He's got like 40 villagers on the wood line, and he can just sell off wood. He can buy some food if he needs it. The key thing he needs to make sure to do is keep the pressure up. Make sure Corvinus cannot stabilize. We just saw Vodka highlight over on those deer, and oh, DeMu saw it. This is the problem with deer.
That's great read, and that could be the game. That could be the game. And it's such a lovely read by DeMu. He knows that Corvinus needs food. He's going to look for the alternatives, and Corvinus is caught completely unprepared with dozens of villagers exposed.
Corvinus trying to defend up his water, so he is super distracted, just now reacts. Villagers have still been falling. That's his main food income other than the water, and oh no, the fishing! The fishing!
Oh,
DeMu, he says, I don't care if I lose my military, your whole entire eco is going to be decimated here now.
And this is what this map is all about, focusing on the water and focusing on land at the same time. And DeMu is doing that so well. He's sniping out the enemy fishing boats, but also putting pressure on the enemy villagers. Now he's the one with the eco lead.
And look at what that one single Gulam was doing in the eco. It was tanking tower, was tanking TC, and still just laughing it all off, acting like it was, you know, toothpicks being thrown at him. Corvinus trying to take the berries. More military already ready and waiting there. He has nowhere to go. The eco is just continually dropping. 20 kills on either side when it comes to the workers, but it's going to get a lot worse.
It is. Now Corvinus has a bunch of idle time on him. He still has a fishing fleet, though. He's on the back foot. I think this might be the first time in this game where he's truly on the back foot. But as long as you have water control on this map, there is always a glimpse of hope. Especially because Corvinus has an insane amount of wood to work with. I would maybe love to see some walls. I think this is where we have to just mention the side note that you did not spawn with a forward wood line in this map generation. So walling off your front is a little bit more challenging, but Corvinus could still try to turtle up and try to drag this game out, make it competitive.
Yeah, the problem is DeMu now is at the point where he's got basically 20 extra eco. He's still the age ahead. He, you know, even if fishing gets denied, I feel like he's at the point where he can just go, all right, great, I'm going to go take berries. I'm going to make sure to keep denying you from all the land resources, and that's all he really needs to do. Spears and early knights is the military composition from Corvinus. DeMu, he's actually starting to build up more of the naval fleet, making sure he defends that on up. I'm not sure if he's got an armored hull yet. I feel like that's, you know, an upgrade we usually see earlier on. Okay, he's gotten a lot of upgrades.
Oh, Corvinus. I don't think he expected this fleet to be here. Nice splits, though, to save most of his navy. In fact,
all of it.
This is as good as it gets, but ooh, things got dicey for a moment. I think if he wore a heart rate monitor... Ooh,
oh, revenge?
Nope. Nope. Yeah, if he wore a heart rate monitor as he moved out with his ships, his heart rate would have probably spiked.
DeMu having to fall back, not taking the most efficient trades, but Gulams are starting to be produced, and this is the thing that Corvinus will have a struggle to deal with. DeMu's trying to get close enough to close the gap, It looks like maybe one decent connection, but other than that, a good fine hold from DeMu and a good connection from him. He's got the stronger ship. He's got the better ships. More demos coming forward.
Oh, that's juicy.
And
That's going to be beautiful.
DeMu just lost his whole entire gold villager.
Oh my lord. And this is why this map is so difficult to play on. You focus on your water micro. I was about to say that one of the demos for Corvinus didn't trigger. But DeMu also was microing his fleet so much that he didn't notice all the villagers being gone on the gold. What an absolute madness. And now you look at these villagers for Corvinus, it's just chaos all over at this point.
High Trade House is on the way, so Corvinus is equalizing the castle age, but is it going to be enough? Getting those 10 extra villager picks onto the gold was huge, but now he's having to fall back from water. He had to stop all of that production to go up to castle. And now he needs to hold.
He needs to convert his ships. He needs to convert the fishing boats here.
He's backing himself into a corner here.
Have wood. He's out of wood. Corvinus was floating 2,000 wood a couple of minutes ago. Now he's out of wood. He cannot convert his fishing boats.
Demos though? Oh my gosh, that connection was like in between 6 ships.
That is insane. And now he's swarming the gold mine of DeMu. I don't know where this game is going, Dapston. It's chaos all over. Corvinus is pushed off the water, or at least it seems so for the moment. Is this it for him? I have no idea, to be honest.
This is the beginning of the end. DeMu holds the gold vein. He's got a Gulam mass now. Corvinus is trying to make his own men-at-arms, but with what food production, with what economy, he has nothing comparative to the other side. DeMu also has 5 relics now secured up for himself, and he's going to grab both sacred sites.
You really feel like Corvinus ran out of wood at the worst possible moment. I think he would have converted his fishing boats if he had the wood, but he didn't. And
I feel like he aged up with his wood vills, and that's why he lost all the wood.
Maybe, or maybe he sold the resources to age up.
That could have been it as well. Militia called, but these are militia going up against Gulams. All your villagers are idled. It looks like Corvinus is trying to drop a secondary TC next to the first, but what resources are you going to gather with those villagers? All you can really get that is safe right now is wood. That gold vein has to be running low. All your docks have been denied now, and DeMu fully has water secured, which is the key to this map.
I wonder how this game would have went if Corvinus didn't commit to the aggression, because on water, that is. Nice little interception here with the militias, picks off quite a few vills. But yeah, if he doesn't commit to the water fight, maybe DeMu is a little bit more passive and Corvinus can just find his way up to Castle Age. In fact, I think this is what we have to highlight, that DeMu did have his Castle Age upgrades in these naval fights. Corvinus didn't.
Yeah, DeMu, that was one of the things. DeMu has constantly been getting all of these extra upgrades. He's had so much extra eco this whole time. And yeah, he might not have been putting all that into the same ships. He would have had a lot more ships if he was, but he had a lot more upgrades, a lot more of these long-term bonuses that are going to prove to be effective. More of this kind of not putting all your eggs in one basket type of play.
Yeah, speaking of eggs in a basket, food is still an issue here for Corvinus. This hunt has been harassed for a long time, and that wall is the much-needed lifeline of Corvinus. Now, we've seen that this guy can come back if he is given opportunities. He has this very almost cockroach-esque style where it's just difficult to finish off. But this map is known for being so oppressive when you have the fish, and DeMu does have that. I think he's actually trading on the water already as well.
Oh yeah, that's one of the things that you'll see the majority of these higher elo players do. They'll win water, they'll drop a market in the far corner, and they start trading onto water, because then you get every resource that you need from water.
Yeah, Corvinus, his population is just looking very grim. And, you know, there was a moment long ago where we considered Corvinus going into Castle Age. He opted just to double down on Feudal, and you really wonder how this game would have gone if he actually opted to go Castle Age there as the first player.
Yeah, it just didn't really end up working out for himself. You see now with the overlay at the top, there is just way more purple than red, and the red bars will continue to just fall and fall now as DeMu is going to close out this game. Looks like he wants to end this game, and 27 gulams is a great way to do it.
It is. Corvinus only has 8 crossbows to work with, and he's just not given a room at this point. In fact, DeMu could actually click up to Imperial very soon. He's got 2 Sacred Sites, 5 relics to work with as well, and Corvinus has just nowhere left to go but game number 3.
Yeah, and I mean, what a wild game this was, though. Crazy back and forth, crazy raids all over the place, military, naval fights. A lot of times, there were multiple times where it felt like Corvinus was about to clean up DeMu, and then all of a sudden we look back and DeMu's cleaning up Corvinus.
Yeah, obviously, I really have to look back at the fishing count for Corvinus because sure enough, he was able to maintain control over the water for a long time. But his fishing eco was always harassed by DeMu. Sometimes he had to convert his ships. Whereas for DeMu, I don't remember. Basically, there was like one window in this game where his fishing eco was actually threatened. That's it.
Yeah, it was like right as the Castle Age happened, he lost a lot of his fishing, and then after that, he just reboomed it right back up once he pushed out. The Ghulam's pushing in. Yeah, they're getting kited around by 8 crossbows, but they're killing villagers while they're getting kited. And then the next group's coming in, and then the next group's coming in, and then Corvinus is going to surrender.
Yeah, it's just wave after wave of troops. And because DeMu is almost pop-capped, he is going to click up to Imperial even. There's just nowhere left to go here for Corvinus. He's trying to just desperately come back into this, but he probably knows very well that this game is pretty much gone.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those. I see it. You can do this kind of mental on either side. Sometimes you battling on this is kind of draining for yourself, but sometimes it's one of those that your opponent starts getting frustrated. It's like, come on, just surrender. This game's over. And then it lasts 10 more minutes, and you're like, what the heck am I doing? Why am I wasting my time? Let me finish this game. And this should be the good way to do it here, is just deny where any of those villagers can go at all.
Yeah, this is probably more about Corvinus thinking about what to do in the next game because he knows fully well that this is gone. He's got basically no working villagers. At this point, DeMu could just drop 2 rams and start taking out the town centers and the landmarks.
Oh my gosh, now is when all of those red villagers just start falling, and no more will they say it. DeMu takes game number 2, and we are going to move on into the game deciding match on this lower bracket between DeMu and Corvinus, and it looks like it's going to be on classic OG Dry Arabia.
I don't know what to think about this setup because I feel like Corvinus is very much competitive in this game. He played a reasonably standard game, and he was definitely like this was not an easy win for DeMu. He had to fight very hard for this. But at the same time, I feel like Dry Arabia is as standard as it gets, and part of the reason why Corvinus was able to stay in the game for so long on Holy Island is because he had those moments where Corvinus just killed 20 villagers on the gold mine, right? That's not going to happen on Dry Arabia. It happened because Holy Island is a map where even the best players sometimes lose track of all the things that are happening. But Dry Arabia, it's a very, very conventional map. It's also the home map of DeMu. Corvinus opted to pick that map instead of Regions, which is his last map or last home map available. He does have the English against the Rus. I'm actually curious if Corvinus is going to play standard over here, or he's got one more trick up his sleeve. If he does so, I think he needs to pull it now, because this is his tournament life on the line.
Yeah, the only sad part is that Rus is not an easy civilization to pull the tricks from up your sleeve against. They're, if this was Abba or Ubids or Byzantines or Atri, a whole different story. They're a little bit vulnerable there. But Rus, not so much here. Game number 3 starting now, though. DeMu, southern side as the Rus in the color purple. Corvinus, north side as the English in the color red.
And this is match point for DeMu here. After losing to Baltoon in the upper bracket, he is now close to advancing to the next weekend here in the online stage of Red Bull Wololo El Reinado. Corvinus definitely put up a good fight in the previous 2 games, though, especially the one on Holy Island in game number 2. So I'm curious how Corvinus is going to approach this Dry Arabia game, especially because he's been helped out by the map generation gods here quite a bit, to be honest. It's not a map that you would call, well, I think it depends on the perspective for DeMu, but the hunt being on the opposite side of a wood line is pretty bad, and 3 gold mines chained together in the middle of nowhere is also very, very underwhelming. It's not the bad map in a classical sense or unfair map, it's just very unlucky.
Yeah. Meanwhile, on the English side, they're a civ that cares way less about map generation comparative to other civs. A lot of their focus is obviously, you know, they need their wood. They're a very wood heavy civ. They like dropping early farms. They like dropping their production, but sometimes they don't even need wood at all, and they'll just go up with their good old faster castle with the white tower and just use that as their production buildings.
Looking at Corvinus's map here for a brief moment. He's also pretty open on both flanks, but his golds are split between the 2 sides. His hunt is also very far away, by the way. So both of these players, if they need to go for the hunt, it's going to be at a very exposed spot. It's less significant for Corvinus, who could play with farms, but this could be quite significant for DeMu.
Yeah. Either way, though, bounty is starting to be snagged on in. I think Corvinus is... Oh, no, he didn't get to that bottom deer pack in time, and it looks like DeMu grabbing up another couple wolves on the map here. This is one now we're seeing those bonuses, so some people might be confused. Why are we shooting out all of these deer, shooting up the wolves? And this is the exact reason why.
Indeed, Roos do get the bounty, of course, from not just the deer, but also the boars as well. But boars are a little too difficult to kill for Dark Age standards when you only have scouts. DeMu is queuing up a 4th scout, though. And that, to me, screams a pro scouts build. I don't know about you, but I don't see a reason for him to queue up another scout here. Ooh, and as Vodka is highlighting to us, DeMu is actually a little low on gold. He needs this 1 wolf so that he has enough for Feudal Age.
Ooh, that's one of these things with the early wheelbarrow is you kind of got this risk at times where sometimes you might need to cancel it, and sometimes you might just think you're going to have enough, and DeMu thought he was going to have enough bounty for it. So a late Kremlin drop, 3 minutes and 20-something seconds was when he was starting it on out. Meanwhile, Corvinus on the other side already getting kind of close to finishing up his Abbey.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting, though, because if there's a king roaming the map, it's a lot more difficult to actually carry the carcasses back to the DC. And we're not just talking about 1 deer pack. That is pretty much guaranteed. There is no way that Corvinus can shut that down. But when you invest into pro scouts, assuming he's going to do that with 4 scouts being out there, if he invests into pro scouts, he wants to grab at least 2 deer packs, potentially more.
Yeah, and it's more important to grab the ones from your opponent's side, because it's not only securing it from yourself, it's obviously denying it from your opponent. So that one front and center in front of the stone would be great. And sometimes what you'll see is, you know, the secondary TCs for civilization sometimes will be dropped onto deer. However, for English, they're not a civ that cares that much about it. They'll rely on farms a little bit more comparative to other civs, so you might even still see the secondary TC for Corvinus drop more near his gold vein instead.
Indeed, Corvinus playing 2 TCs here, whereas on the other side, it's indeed the pro scouts build. I'm not gonna lie, pro scouts in 2024 is an awkward thing to look at. It's probably the most OG Roos build that there ever was, really. But it's a really powerful one. Obviously, he doesn't have the gold for it just yet. He's actually playing 2 DCs too, with the villagers being committed to stone. But you don't go for 4 scouts if you don't play pro scouts.
It's going to be something that he'll have to get later on, as he's not thinking about that gold for the time being. So it's going to be a much later Pro Scouts, if it is indeed the Pro Scouts at all. For now, though, it's going to be dealing with the king. And the scouts do a great job of keeping vision of that. And the king for Corvinus is just sitting. He says, I don't want you to secure up this deer pack with your secondary TC. And so that's where DeMu, he might say, all right, that's fine, and do Pro Scouts later on. And instead, double Broad Axe is the first upgrade that DeMu is going for.
Second DC on the way. He does the... I assume the Kremlin does affect the lumber camp, but we should just double check on that.
It does.
Yeah, it needs to, right?
Oh.
Nope, it does not.
Oh my God.
That's what I was asking. It felt like it was too far away.
Usually you get the TC connection, and I thought the mining camp, I thought the lumber camp was in the TC range of it, but obviously it was a good old tile away, and so that is where a second lumber camp was dropped for that exact reason.
DeMu still roaming the map with the scouts over here, but here's the tricky thing. When you play 2 TCs, you're going to consume your food very, very quickly, so you will need that food to supplement your economy. And Corvinus knows that.
DeMu is now heavier onto the gold, so let's see if it's just this later Pro Scout play. Speaking of, Corvinus did not drop that second TC onto the gold like I was thinking. It is indeed onto the deer. You don't always get this ability to be able to do this, but as the English, you won't complain if you can. It's a little bit of a forward TC, but there's no pressure coming in at any point in the near future with what he scouted on the other side.
Yeah, second DC is complete for both. 2 villagers lead right now for DeMu. He's also going very heavy on the eco upgrades, not just the double broad axe and a wheelbarrow, but also the mining upgrade. With this DC being around, though, right now, DeMu cannot yoink this deer pack. So this is quite interesting for him, because I think he wants to go Pro Scout still. He's now heavy on gold. But at the same time, he cannot really take that one deer pack from Corvinus. There's a king roaming the map that's going to make his life a lot more painful as well. I think he's looking for the secondary deer pack of Corvinus.
I'm not sure if he's even gonna go for it now. At this point, I feel like it's just...
I think he's looking for it. Can we actually see DeMu's POV? I'm curious if he ever found it. Yeah, he knows about it. No, I actually am starting to wonder if the 4th scout was a misclick. Because 4 scouts is either Pro Scouts or you literally made an extra scout for nothing. There is no reason to add a 4th scout if you're not playing Pro Scouts. So maybe he either changed his mind or it was a misclick. But playing 4 scouts without professional scouts is rather odd.
Both players going up with their macro for Castle Age. One of the things to me is, how did DeMu end up getting the Vil lead? I thought Corvinus started his TC earlier. I know he had his walking time to get out there, but I still feel like he started and finished his TC earlier.
Yeah, walking time could be a thing. Maybe some town center idle time. But it looks like Corvinus just wants to rush up to Castle Age. He's heavy on food, heavy on gold, 0 villagers on wood. This is just screaming for a White Tower Knight build.
He has more villagers onto the stone as well. And there is the White Tower protecting up that west side of his base, protecting up that next gold vein as well, and a lot of space for farms, which is what I believe the main goal is as well.
Yep, Hydrate House up. Okay-ish spot. It's not about the passive gold trickle, it's more about getting the carcasses in. Just getting the extra deer from the carcasses. Just a side note over here, Corvinus deployed a campfire close to the deer pack, so he knows fully well if his opponent wants to take it.
1 health though. Gets an easy takedown there by the scout. Big kill, big kill.
It's something. It ain't much, but it's honest work. And Corvinus did that elsewhere too. So it's a clever way of making sure that his opponent cannot take the deer for himself. Looks like one of the scouts that DeMu had were also lost. But the thing I love about DeMu's position are the eco upgrades. They are basically neck and neck in castle age timing. In fact, DeMu beats his opponent to castle. DeMu is up by a villager as well, but he's got all the eco upgrades from Feudal Age. Nothing out there for Corvinus.
Yeah, Corvinus moved out with a villager outpost the eastern side bore that he's thinking DeMu might want to move out to. Another campfire gets taken down. That one was hiding behind a tree. That was hard to see, honestly. And now that Castle Age is out, we get to see the game plan, and this is one of the things I always love to see when I'm watching Roost. Kind of surprises me going up against English, but it's one that, you know, this isn't the longbow mass English. This is the Abbey English, so horse archers come into play for DeMu.
Yeah, I love how he's taking out the board just to make sure that the bounty won't be given away to his opponent here, using the scout to bait out the damage. Scout does get healed back up anyways. Yeah, interestingly, Corvinus is even fortifying some towers here. So he's playing a very defensive game so far. And oh my, what year is this? Rus Horse Archers. I do not remember when the last time was I saw these guys.
Yeah, it's one of my most favorite things to end up watching. It's fun, you know, they really can lean into this micro, can really lean into that mobility.
And this is a wide open map, and I love how DeMu is sectioning it off. He's getting some walls going. The trick with the horse archers is that you need to use them as one big mass. Individually, they are useless or near useless. So the way that you deal with horse archers is that you send in knights or so into the enemy eco, forcing the horse archer group to fall back. Because DeMu is walling, that's not going to be an option here for Corvinus.
Yeah, and one of the things that horse archers do great against as well are those knights that you just mentioned, and that's what Corvinus has. They're not quite as mobile, so if they get tracked down while moving across the map, they just start getting sniped, and then you try to turn back and charge the horse archers, and then they just turn and run on away.
Yeah, and I think one of the key things here is that horse archers are really good against almost everything but foot archers. They have high mobility, and the reason why they're good against knights is not because they have armor piercing power, or well, it's not because they have bonus damage against heavy units. They just have good base attack, so they are able to penetrate the armor of these knights out here. But it also means that they are pretty good against infantry. Really, the only thing that can deal with mass horse archers in a straight-up battle is, let's say, foot archers, assuming you don't have siege weapons involved, of course.
Yeah, and this is the point now. We see that horse archer number climbed very high. Corvinus trying to run away now. It looks like there might be a battle over that relic, but the battle over that relic should be easily secured by DeMu. Those warrior monks quite tanky.
Whoop, whoop.
2 more scouts. King gets taken down, and both of those knights are going to fall as well. Huge win for DeMu here.
Indeed, it's massive, and let's not forget, behind this, he's got insane eco upgrades. Look at the difference between the two players. Horse archer count is escalating so rapidly, this could be a quick game.
Yeah, we're at 17 horse archers to 5 knights on the other side. Relics 1-1, but the relic that's over on Corvinus' side that seemed close next to that white tower might not be as easily securable anymore with vision from DeMu and with this mobile mass that he has.
I just feel like things are falling apart here for Corvinus. He played a very, very standard game, but Rus being able to just chill and play a 2TC game with all the hunt available, that's just not going to cut it. I like what Corvinus is doing, though. If there is one thing in this world that can stop horse archers on an open map, it's walls.
Walls and longbows, but it really feels bad when you're using the white tower to make longbows, and that's just the worst council hall now.
Yeah.
and that's
DeMu
not something you ever want to say.
DeMu is committing to this fight because he knows that he needs to stop these walls, and he's going to do just that. He also sees that the longbows are feudal age longbows. They don't even have veterancy at this point.
And he has that scout front line to be the perfect tanks. He hasn't even lost the horse archer yet. It has only been scouts so far that he lost. Now the horse archers just step up. He says, fine, I'll take down a few of those longbows. I'll take down a villager trying to wall on up. And now I'm in your eco.
And that's exactly what DeMu wanted. That is
King
what
by.
those walls were meant to prevent. Good luck cleaning this up. In a straight-up fight, longbows would annihilate the horse archers. But DeMu is never going to give a straight-up fight here for Corvinus.
Yeah, the only way that's happening is if somehow these walls continue to constrict the horse archers further and further and further. But for now, they're just going to keep running circles. More villagers are going down. Wololo coming in. The villagers that were out on that stone all fall, so 4 more die. DeMu is starting to build up this lead. It's still only horse archers though, and that's my only concern, as this still kind of just gives time. You're not killing any buildings. You're playing this denial game.
Yeah, but DeMu has been playing like that in the entire series. He's been just playing very safe, not overcommitting, not trying to finish games quickly. And he's more than content sitting back. He's got all the map under his control. He's going to have the relic advantage. He can start capturing sacred sites. And he has an insane tech advantage, both in blacksmith upgrades and in eco upgrades as well.
Yep. Those horse archers trying to find somewhere to do more damage, and more damage they do end up finding. Some split off. But the longbow mass is starting to get to a point where horse archers going to start dying. But that's just the group that was behind enemy lines, behind those walls. Still surprised to not see DeMu making a military swap after seeing the longbow mass here, but he has made a farm transition behind this, and it's not a military swap. He's not really producing too much military. Horse archer here and there. It's going to be the Imperial Age swap.
Yeah, it makes sense. If you have a lead, just make it into an even bigger lead. DeMu has no intention of like, okay, dive in, risk this game. There is no reason for him. He's going to just trade off these horsemen or horse archers now. There's not much that he can do with them. He's still going to just run around trying to delay Corvinus even more. But as I said, he wants to go into Imperial. I would not be shocked to see him move on to Stone soon and start dropping some forward keeps for map control. And I mean, the positioning of this high armory just tells you the whole story. This is how confident he is in his position. He's got no trouble putting it in the middle of nowhere, basically.
Do you think DeMu just gets wandering towns and just starts sending rams through?
I don't know what he's gonna do. I could see him just playing full horse archer. I could see him, to be honest, I could see him fortifying the 3 sacred sites and just saying, "Come at me."
Yep, the timer has started ticking. The high armory has finished. It's an immediate Tithe Barns upgrade. The second set of ranged armor has already come through. But now we're slowly waiting for DeMu's next step. Is that a horseman swap?
And this is
again?
just
No, that's horse
such a
archers.
clinical Ruse game, really. DeMu didn't do anything special in this game. He just played a very standard but very nicely executed game.
Oh, it is the
no
horseman
major
swap.
mistakes, no slip-ups, no nothing.
It's exactly what we saw the other game. He's just all of a sudden going to make this huge horseman swap. He's got 1,700 food in the bank already. He's just immediately going to have 15, 20 horsemen. They're going to be elite horsemen just running through the base. A few more villagers fall. Just picks here and there, idle time here and there, not allowing Corvinus to breathe and chill.
And horseman is dirty when you have so many horse archers. Corvinus is forced to make massed longbowmen to deal with this. He needs to potentially add siege weapons as well, like he's doing so right now. So everything that Corvinus can do against those horse archers gets hard countered by the horsemen.
Veteran upgrade has finished. Next set of ranged armor coming through as well. I love this. Those things are just not going to get touched by the longbows, not going to get touched by town center fire. And Corvinus thinks that like, oh, maybe the mangonel is going to help. It's like, once again, just like the other game, it's like a horseman counters every single thing that Corvinus has.
Mounted training coming in, elite upgrades as well. Corvinus wants to go into Imperial, though, and to be fair, as long as the horsemen don't arrive, DeMu cannot get through the walls. That's actually what's keeping Corvinus in this game as he's building up the Berkshire Palace.
DeMu keeps getting his horseman upgrades and dropping more stables, but he's not queuing. Did he forget he dropped 6 stables?
Interesting.
Like, he hasn't queued up a horseman yet. There it is.
Okay,
all right,
now,
fine.
there we go.
13 stables.
I'm actually wondering if going knights here would actually work better. He's got 1,300 gold income. He could easily go knights And Rus Knights and Imperial are very, very powerful.
Yeah, that works as well. I think either way kind of gives you that bonus. The big just drawback for the Knights is you just don't have the bonus damage against the range. But I don't think at this point it really matters. Either way it works. Horsemen just might be a little bit more cost effective.
Yeah, finally the first couple of cavalry troops come out, starting to torch down those walls. I don't know about that though. Corvinus, he's making a switch into men-at-arms. It's a good frontline unit, but it's not going to deal very well against these highly mobile troops. It's not really a counter to either horse archers or horsemen.
Yeah, this is, again, one of those that DeMu just has too much eco. He has too much resources and resource income for Corvinus to be able to do anything with. All the upgrades are coming through. You can just see there's 7 upgrades coming through for DeMu. Meanwhile, Corvinus has 2. Corvinus doesn't even have the food upgrade for his farms.
Yeah, he's slowly trying to catch up. He's just now getting the elite upgrade for the longbows, but by the time he gets that finished, he only has 9 crossbows remaining. And I love what DeMu is doing. He didn't want to commit to a fight. He just broke through the walls, and once again, he's running circles around his opponent with the horse archers. Meanwhile, he's massing up horsemen, and he's got 3 sacred sites. Let's not forget that. This guy is 5 minutes away from a sacred site victory.
He's got 38 horsemen sitting in his base, just ready, watching, and just wanting to pounce here soon. And I think, I mean, that many horsemen, they could probably just burn down the Berkshire. Horse archers stepping up, don't even care about the mangonel. They're taking down some more villagers. Taking a couple mangonel shots while they're doing it, but they don't really care. Looks like now the horsemen are getting ready. Another keep. Actually, I think that was the first one we saw. Oh, no, there's the other one. So keeps being dropped on every single sacred site. So making sure the timer gets to keep ticking. English needs will have to come out of the base in the next 5 minutes, but there's not really a way that Corvinus can. I feel like DeMu could stop military production and Corvinus still wouldn't have enough 4 minutes from now to come out.
Yeah, Corvinus was hindered so much in production. He has 2,000 food in the bank. He just now started queuing men-at-arms. I think he might have been low on wood, so he couldn't afford the production buildings, but he's losing so much precious time because, I mean, even though he cleans this up, DeMu has shifted away entirely from this. He's got 55 horsemen to work with. And just look at that top right corner. He is just basically trying to 100% this game at this point, getting every single upgrade humanly possible.
I think he thinks he has the deli landmark that you get more food for how many upgrades you have because he's clicking everything. It's just everything. He's like, I don't have knights, but I'm getting my knights upgraded. It's like, it will matter eventually. If I make the transition to knights, he's going to be ready. And 57 horsemen, I just want to see him do something with these horsemen. I want to see how long they can tank White Tower and Berkshire together.
He's walling in his opponent. This, honestly, this must feel so sad for Corvinus because I don't know what he's thinking about right now. Maybe okay, he's going to see the horsemen. To be fair, if this was a LAN, the face cam would be priceless.
Oh my gosh. You see that come out of the doorstep and you're like, he's on horseman? How many does he have? 62? Like, what are you going to do? You can start trying to produce as many spears as possible now, and it just doesn't matter. And he has 10 men-at-arms in queue.
He's got 1 spearman out there. He's got a bunch of men-at-arms in queue, longbows that won't do anything against the horsemen. But hey, he's got a Rebalda in queue.
The Rebalda Queen could shred the horseman.
Yeah. It's very underrated against mass melee as long as you have a front line.
As long as you have a front line. Oh, there. Whoa, mate.
Nice body blocks, but it's only a couple of horsemen converted.
Ended up getting about 4. There's still 60 plus out onto the field. Villagers moved out a little bit early. Rebaldaquin doing everything it can, but this is just one group of the horsemen that we see. The other group split off. They're into the farms. They're into the wood line as well, and tanking up those tower shots like I was wanting. The military numbers are looking a little bit more even, but that's for good reason. DeMu's just throwing this away for fun.
Well, for fun and for 47 villager kills. Corvinus' eco is a train wreck. He's decapping the sacred site, though.
A horseman, though. The horseman got there.
I was about to say that he was barely able to hold. He was barely able to hold the White Tower, the Berkshire, the Town Center Fire, and every single army unit that he had. How is he going to push his opponent off from sacred sites in 2.5 minutes?
What? He's gonna start dropping keeps in the base.
Why do I have the feeling that DeMu is playing with his food right now?
He has to be. I feel like this is one of those that, like, you know, your kid's in your ear. It's like, oh, just have some fun with do this. And he's like, all right, fine. If you want me to, I got you covered. Oh, I mean, this is one drop a keep behind the wood line. You know, just have some fun.
Drop a wonder behind the enemy wood line.
He has 4,000 stone.
Yeah, exactly. I was about to say that, like, listen, if this game continues like this, DeMu's going to be able to afford a wonder.
Corvinus is using that one villager that was on the board. It might be more villagers over there now, but he's trying to build a proxy base and just funnel men-at-arms into the economy of DeMu, which could he has built. That one villager has put in some work.
He did, but I honestly wonder what the issue is with Corvinus' production. He's got the resources, just not the production.
Well, it's all over here. It's not in his base. It's over in the corner of the map. It's a proxy.
It's 9 racks, Berkshire, White Tower, that's it. And we're only having a handful of spearmen being produced.
And 5 of those racks are over there.
Yeah, I really feel like he doesn't have a good access to wood, so he isn't able to afford production buildings even.
Yeah, he ate through that first initial wood line. He was producing so many longbows, and I know as plain English, it feels so bad when you have to idle your longbow production, but sometimes you got to stop making a few longbows to drop an extra barracks here and there.
So how exactly is Corvinus going to decap a sacred site in a minute? That's the question I think everybody's awaiting an answer for.
I'm just wanting to see DeMu like build a wall of keeps across, like not a stone wall, just build keeps all the way across the map that turns into a wall.
If he wanted to build keeps, he would have started already. He's legit collecting that stone for a wonder. If Corvinus ever decaps, I don't know, but he's going to win this game on sacred site terms before he gets the resources for a wonder, unless something very, very unexpected happens.
Well, he has the stone now. One horse archer still being annoying.
He cannot stop the sacred site countdown, that's the thing. He needs Corvinus to stop. Wait.
Huh?
Hold on. So you're telling me there is a chance?
That's 49 knights now, not 49 horsemen, by the way. That was another big swap.
Yeah, nah, he's done. He's just going to win this on sacred sites.
He thought about letting Corvinus decap it, and then was like, nah, not this time.
Yeah, to be fair, if he lets him decap it, he legit could have gone for a wonder in like 2 minutes.
12 seconds left for the final game of the day. Corvinus not able to hold, not able to pull some shenanigans out of the hat to get the victory, and DeMu with a nice 3-0 after getting knocked down to the loser's bracket from Baltoon.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this before the series began. DeMu plays his best when he needs it the most, and he definitely needed it. Corvinus put up a good fight. Maybe, you know, this final game might have been a little anticlimactic. But the previous one, especially the game on Holy Island, that was a competitive game. And Corvinus definitely had some good moves, but his run here in Red Bull Wololo El Reinado is going to end right here. DeMu is the one moving on to the second round of the elimination bracket, which also means that we now have every single matchup set for next weekend. Let's take a quick look at the brackets to see what we have for you next weekend.
Yeah, I know on the top side, it's going to end up being Beastie Baltoon. We have CSO versus Wham, Puppy versus Louis. As you had mentioned, the Canadian bros are playing the elephant teammates. And then Lucifron playing Anatan to finalize it out on the bottom side.
And at the same time, of course, we do have 4 players in the elimination bracket awaiting their opponents. The players defeated in those upper matches, they'll be the ones facing off against these guys down at the bottom. Some big names as well here, Vortex and DeMu. If they want to have a chance of facing off against Marine Lord in Castle de Almodovar, they're going to have to fight their way through all the way to the very end here in the lower bracket.